Senator Kennedy just put SEC Chair Gary Gensler on the hot seat, and trust me, you'll want to hear what went down. So, imagine this. Washington's grilling China about the Kennedy thanks Gensler for implementing the law, then doesn't waste a second before dropping the real question. Are the Chinese actually letting U.S. inspectors review their audit papers, or is it just more smoke and mirrors? Gensler, ever the diplomat, says the Chinese promised to play along, and yeah, inspectors are literally on flights to China as we speak. But
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for being here today. I want to also thank you for you and your colleagues' good work on implementing the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act. Can you give us a quick overview about where we are? China, I understand, has come to the negotiating table, and you've negotiated a statement of protocol. Could you give us an update on the status of your good efforts?
Yes, and again, I want to thank you because Senator Van Hollen just came in and you shepherded that through. And I think that the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act gave us the additional leverage to work with Chair Williams down at PCOB, and we had numerous meetings with the Chinese. We said to the Chinese last August, a year plus ago, that we wouldn't be willing to send the inspectors over to China to look at the audit work papers and the like unless we could get a very detailed, prescriptive statement of protocol to effectuate the will of Congress. And at its core, it's that how can you trust the numbers in these Chinese companies unless there's somebody in the U.S. who's auditing the auditor, so to speak, technically inspecting and investigating. Mm-hmm. They did sign that. We thought it was important to get that signed. The PCOB is sending inspectors over. I think they're on flights tomorrow because I think it starts Monday the 19th. And it takes about 8 to 10 weeks to get through. So we'll probably know somewhere around Thanksgiving or early December. And I don't know if the Chinese are going to comply. They've told me. I mean, the Ministry of Finance had told me directly on WebEx calls, and the China Securities Regulatory Commission has said they will comply. And it's pretty clear. No redactions in the work papers. Take testimony from whomever the PCOB needs to take testimony from. They can onward share the information to us, and they can pick whichever companies they want to look at.
Kennedy's not buying it. He wants results, not just promises. And here's where Kennedy goes for the jugular. He's working on a new bill to cut the compliance window from 3 years to 2. Translation? If these Chinese companies don't let us see what's behind the curtain, they get kicked off U.S. exchanges. No excuses, no delays. Kennedy's message is clear. American companies face mountains of red tape, while foreign firms skate by. That sound fair to you? Go ahead and tap that like button if you think it's time to put America first.
I'm not sure they'll comply either, but they move further toward compliance than at any point in the past. Senator Van Hollen and I have a bill that's passed the Senate, as you know, being considered by the House to move the deadline from 3 years to 2 years, with respect to which, if they don't comply, we tell them to leave our exchanges, and I think that might help if we can get that passed, and I appreciate your good efforts there. In my last 2 minutes, I wanted to shift gears on the climate risk disclosure, and I don't mean to be critical. I'm trying to understand, because I thought Senator Tester raised some very good questions. What's your best guess of the cost of compliance with your climate risk disclosure rules?
So, one, I do support your accelerating Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act to 2 years versus 3, because I think it will continue to have the right leverage, even if the Chinese authorities, the Chinese regulators, allow for compliance this year. What about next year? What about next year? So I do support that.
Thank you.
In terms of the climate role, we lay out in this proposal all the economic analysis, and I don't mean to speak for the numbers in that, but by company.
What's your best guess, if you could? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gary, but I've only got a minute left. What's your best guess of the cost of it to comply?
So per company, we lay that out, and depending on the size, and I just don't want to misspeak. It's from a couple 100,000 to a billion. And the total cost, I think Senator Toomey accurately quoted it. You weren't maybe in the room. It's measured in the single-digit billions across the entire economy. But what we benefit from is also people are coming in and giving us critical analysis of whether we're accurate.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm gonna run out of time.
Next, Kennedy pivots right into the climate policy crosshairs. He asks Gensler, point blank, how much is all this climate compliance really going to cost? Gensler throws out numbers, hundreds of thousands per company, maybe billions across the board, but Kennedy isn't satisfied. He lands the punchline. How much will this actually lower global temperatures? The answer? Crickets. Gensler admits that's not the point. The rule is just about informing investors.
Here's my question. It'll cost billions of dollars to comply. Those are scarce resources. To the extent that people like Senator Tester has to spend the money to comply, they can't spend the money on something else. Presumably, the purpose of the rule is to focus investors' attention on the risk of climate change so that they will demand that companies do a better job. The purpose of which is to lower the world's temperatures. Am I okay? Am I doing okay?
Actually, but that's not the purpose. The purpose, I mean, I can speak for the 5-member commission, but also for myself. We're not a merit regulator. So the purpose actually is not to do what you said. It's just for investors to get the information.
I think the people supporting the rule, that's their intention.
That's not why I support it.
Okay, fair enough. But I think that's what most people expect. You put pressure on the companies to disclose, shareholders put pressure, people do better job. But I'd like to see, while you're asking Senator Tester and the other people to estimate, I would like to see some sort of estimate of how much all this money spent on compliance is going to lower world temperatures. I mean, we're spending, I believe in clean air and bright water. I want to be able to eat and live indoors. But what bothers me is while we're spending these trillions of dollars of scarce resources, India and China gets 60% of its energy from coal. China has 3,500 coal-fueled power plants. We've got less than 100. We don't have any kind of agreement with India or China for them to reduce emissions. So we spend all of this money and world temperatures are not reduced. And you give me
Chair
your
Gensler, answer the question briefly. Thank you.
The good news is that's not what our authorities are and or what motivates this one commissioner. It's about actually helping investors get more consistent information, even if they want to invest in what might be brown assets rather than green assets. They will get more consistent information and will probably lower some of the greenwashing that's out there and other things like that.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Senator Kennedy.
Kennedy fires back. If American businesses are paying billions and China's still burning coal like there's no tomorrow, who's really winning here? So while we tighten our belts, China gets a free pass. Sound like a good deal? Didn't think so. Kennedy's showdown with Gensler is a wake-up call. Washington's chasing global virtue while America foots the bill. If you're ready for more truth bombs and accountability, smash that subscribe button, share this video, and join the Capitol Conservatives. Because here, we don't just watch DC.